This daf Yom Yerushalmi Demai. The article is the edition. We're on daf Samach Aleph Amid Aleph. We are 2 lines to the top. The third line top. Rabbi Yerushalmi Demai. And in the Vilna, we are on daf Chav Ches Amid Aleph. It's the last line. Rabbi Yerushalmi Demai. So yesterday we said that according to my Gemara a moment ago, so I'll get back to the right place here. Yesterday we said that Rabbi Meir says Lo Yitium Kod Mai Ostam Bilbad, and the Padla according to that Padla Meiser Shalo Vadai B'Chalko B'Chol Makom Sheld Mai, that the Shutim were divided up and Ein Brera. So you have the Meiser, that which belongs to you as Vadai, but belongs to your friend as the Mai. And Yonah is asking on that. What do you mean? If your friend is not going to, the other shutaf is not going to take off trumas or meisers. That's he doesn't. He's not. It's choshev meisers. So he's not going to take it off, and you're selling it as vadai. And even if he does take it off in the future, and the point of sale was definitely vadai. So therefore, how can you sell it? How can you just mafresh demai? You should have to be mafresh vadai at that point. So we're not talking about here where the baker gets from many different places, even the wholesaler. We're talking about here a case where you grew the crop and now you're dividing up. So it's vadai. It's a mocher vadai. You're telling me when you're selling it's vadai. Misaki demai. You're fixing it as demai. It doesn't make sense. Ein l'chol kahida amar Rabbi Yochanan. So you have to say like Rabbi Yochanan, and the according to this according to what I'm about to say, Divra Koli. Everybody agrees. Doesn't matter whether you're a mayor or Rabbanan. Maser Masher Shalo Vadai. He might says that which is his, the Vadai. We said, Chom Chelkom B'chom Makom Shehu Demai. And the Chelk of his friend everywhere is Demai. V'chatzi Chelko, and the grew up with Reb Chaim, Shebiyodo Mishel Chaveiro, that half of the chelik which is in your hands of your friend, Mishalo, of his Demai. Now I made a little tear here, just so you can see that. Sorry, I was interrupted. So I'm going to show you this picture again. As it says there, this is pretty dachuk, but according to Reb Chaim and basically the Sim Bashan the Sugya, what Reuben asked the Meiser is 3/4 of the pot, and 3/4, 1/2 of it is vadai, that's his, and 1/4 is the mai. And this is a kind of a man of shach. We have to divide the whole pot in quarters, right? We don't know which quarters belong to him, because in brera. So therefore, at least 2 of the quarters are vadai, at least one of them is the mai, and at least one of them is not one of the quarters he's potter on. And that's what the Reb Chaim explains here. He says that he's considered that he says that because Ein Brera, we consider that each one has his own half and half of his friends. So it comes out that he's not considered to be a seller other than on the half of his, which is in his friend's hand. And with this chelek, we don't say like Rabbi Eliezer, that is considered like selling the mai, but like Rabbi Yonah says that he's selling vadai. So that's what it says. That what it says that his chelek is meiser vadai, and that's the shalot. That's called the shalot. That's not on what he's taking for himself. It's going on his chelek wherever that is. That which is in his hand, that which is could be in his hand, could be his friend's hand. We don't have because ain't brera. But on half of it, he has to take off vadai, and that which is and now it says divra koli, because it's considered to be he's selling definitely vadai, and even Rabbanan Meir agreed that with vadai he has to sell, and he has to meiser what he is selling. Now, besides that, chelko b'chol makom shut mai. So, which what does that mean? It means chansi chelko shebiyodo mishal chaver demai. The half of the chelik was in his hand is his friends, and on this chelik which is in his hands, he has to take off the mai because his friends have aretz, and maybe he will take off meiser, right? And therefore, maybe he'll take off meiser not just on his own because ain't brera, but also on the half which belongs to his friend. So, so therefore, you have to take off on half of your own portion, the mai. On the portion which your friend gets, you have to take off his vadai because you're giving a vadai. On the portion which you're getting, perhaps from your friend, you have to take off the mai and half of it because perhaps he took off, right? So you have to take off, therefore, on 3/4. You have to take off on 3/4. On the quarters, which are your chelik, and half of on the 3/4, you have to take off. On your chelik, you can take off meiser vadai, because maybe it's all going over then to the other side, and it was definite tevel. And on half of the friend, which is in your hand, you have to take off the mai. Now, the question is obviously, what about the remaining quarter? Right, the remaining quarter seems to also be a difficulty. What exactly happens in the remaining quarter? So we're assuming, even though ain't brera, a quarter not responsible for it. Responsible up to 3/4, right? Responsible for 50%, and we don't know which 50% because ain't brera. Responsible for 50%. It could be up to 50% is vadai, and therefore you have to take off from that. And it was your stuff. You know, you didn't meiser. You have to meiser now. On your friend's portion, whatever is coming from you to you, you have to take over the mai. So we assume, even though ain't brera, right, and therefore we don't know which portion is definitely was supposed to be yours, which portion wasn't supposed to be yours. There's no way of telling it because ain't brera. Nevertheless, it can't be that more than 3/4 you're responsible for. So therefore, you have to take off on half of two of the quarters vadai and one of the quarters the mai. That's how it comes out. So yeah, it's a bit difficult, a bit dachuk, but I don't have a better explanation. That's the way Chaim explains it. And now we go on to halacha vav, um, which in the uh, I just want to point out one more thing, actually, that says that we changed the girsa in last line grades in the Goren Reb Chaim that uh, chatzi chelko not shebiyad chavero mishalo, but shebiyad mishal chavero. Demai. Okay. Says the Mishnah, Shtaim shkiblu shtada barisis. Two people accepted the God field for sharecropping. Or she yorshu, or they inherited. Or she ishtatfu, or they became shutfim. Yochalu lamar lo. You can say to your friend, Tola tachitim shemakomploni. You take the wheat in so and so place. Vani chitim shemakomploni. I'll take the wheat in so and so place. Atayan shemakomploni. You take the wine in so and so place. Vani ayan shemakomploni. I'll take the wine in so and so place. Aval al yomar lo yomar lo. Don't tell him. Tola yain shemakomploni. Uh, uh, you take wheat and I'll take barley. You take wine, I'll take oil. Well, the name Moshe explains. Since there are two species and they're switching each other, it's like a sale. And you're not allowed to sell tevel to your friend, like we learned just a few moments ago. But if you're going to divide up, etc., it's not considered to be a mecher. Chaver v'amoretz Yoshua aviem amoretz. A chaver and amoretz who inherited their father, who's an amoretz. Yochel Omar, he can say to the actually, this is in the Vilna. These two mishnayos go together, and also here in the article as well. Chaver v'amoretz. Shioshu aviem amoretz. Yochel Omar Torah Torah chitim. Shakambloni. I'll take. You take wheat in so and so place, and chitim. Vani Chish Makloni, I'll take wheat in so and so place. The same thing like we just said. Atu Yain Shemakloni, Vani Yain Shemakloni. Avaloy Mala Toto Chiti Vani Sorim Toto Halach. You take the liquids, Vani tells you I'll take the solids. Okay, Tani, you saw Vakum Shakonu saw the Besuya. You saw and a non-Jew, a Jew non-Jew bought a field in Suya. Reyu Ketevel. And here it says Kamaiser, but it should be Kamusar. I don't know if you actually have to change the Girsa, but it's like it's Tevel and Mu'usar Muravin Zebezeh. It's like Tevel and something which is Tevel and something which is Mu'usar mixed up with each other. Divrei Rebbe. That's according to Rebbe. The part of Yisrael is Chaya, the part of the non-Jew is Potter. So according to Rebbe, the fruit which is part of a meiser and the fruit which is chayv meiser are mixed in each other because Rebbe holds ein brera. So therefore, each stalk is the stalk of shutfus, and therefore they're all intrinsically connected together. Shalom says yesh brera, so therefore no. Like this, you say this grain is you can point and say this grain is Yisrael, this grain is the non-Jews. There's brera, and therefore it's not called each and every stalk is divided between the two of them, but you can rather say identify mafreya. This belongs to him, and that belongs to them. Okay, so the Rav said mapli. What's a machlokes? B'shechoku sada kamasa. It's a divide of the field while it's still standing, while the grain is still in the field. A choku gadish, they divide it up when it's already a pile of grain. Rebbe, it's too late. Hashem agrees to concedes already at that point. Each every stalk is a shutfus, and therefore it's tevel umuusor muravin sebezet. Rabbi Yonah, Rabbi Yonah said, Rabbi Yonah said, "Magli kimshechokus father kamasa." No, no, yes, the same thing. The Bachleis when they divide up the soil kamasa. Al choku amachim divide up in sheaves. Average Rebbe should go cover shutvasu. So then even Rosh Gamliel agrees that each every stalk is of shutfus. Well, I'll die to Rabbi Yoina. Ma bein gadish, ma bein amorim. Right, the omorim are after the gadish. Gadish is first a big pile, evidently, and then they make it omorim afterwards. Even though that doesn't seem to normally be the case, but here that certainly seems the case. And what's the difference between Gadish and Amorim? So, so we're talking about where they harvested a section, b'shutfus, but at the time they harvested, you put one part on one side, another part on the other side, and they never got mixed up. So in that also we'd say yesh brera. But if they first made a big pile where everything went together, and then afterwards separated it, or morim to here, or morim to there, in that case, in Mishum Gamliel's moide, that it's considered that it's shutfus in each and every stalk. Rabbi Yasser holds that since when it's mechubar, there wasn't distinct each one to each other. So even if you left it even once you put it into the Gadish, array is too late. So according to Rabbi Yoina, it's more of a leniency. Yeah, but still Gadish is now considered to be the final distribution, and therefore you can still separate in Yesh Beira according to Rabbi Yoina. Is it right? According to Rabbi Yoina, it's still until it's a Marim, you can still say that Yesh Beira. Once it's a Marim, you can't say anymore. According to Rabbi Yasa, that no, meaning made Gadish, meaning it's harvested, it's already too late. Then even then Rosh Hashanah's moda, I'll call kelach lekelach. Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Yeshua said, only true shkoram not sholachlok. When originally the purchase of the field was in the intent of not dividing up, then they decided to divide up. But they bought it initially to divide it up. They always took planning for dividing up. After and we say Glory Milsa Mafreya, Yesh Beira, that each person got his own grain. Rabbi Yosef said, the words of the Rabbanan seem to argue on Rabbi Yoshia. There's distinction. Doesn't seem that way. Rabbi Yochanan. It says a shutfim, but it should be a achin a shutfim. That's the Gra and Reb Chaim. Achim a shutfim. That machlokes Rabbi Yerushalmi Gamliel. Brothers or shutfim. It's a machlokes Rabbi Yerushalmi Gamliel whether yesh beira or aim beira. And achin shutfim lo achlokein. Our brothers or shutfim eventually going to divide up. Right? And it says, Rabbi Yochanan, nevertheless, according to Rebbe, there's no brera, and they are acquiring from each other. Now, I'm not sure in the Bavli, I don't recall exactly, but I'm not sure Bavli if that actually, Achashutrim is considered Amnas Lachlok. I think according to Rebbe, that's called Rabbi Yochanan, it's called Fusas Abayis, because the bias is not necessarily considered intrinsically Oemed Lechaluka. But according to Yerushalmi holds, at least Rabbi Yavon, that Rabbi Yossi holds, that there's no such thing as Fusas Abayis, which is no Amnas Lachlok. Though it's always Amnas Lachlok, and therefore it seems that that even where there's intent to be Cholok Chila, there still is the same Machlokas Rebbe and Ramoshin Gamliel. And that brings us to the Mishnah on the bottom of Samach Beis Amud Aleph, and so we will stop here, of course, for today.